Hey folks, welcome to the Reframe podcast where we share inspiring stories from people adding value to society. In the 24th episode, we have Zeeshan Parwez. Zeeshan came on the map in 2003 with the launch of his electronic duo band Sajid and Zeeshan, and he's made his mark not only as a musician but one of the most innovative video producers, animators, and directors from Pakistan. In this episode, he shares his experiences across these genres and the lessons learned along the way. If you get value out of this episode, we'd really appreciate a rating on iTunes and a sub to our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to the podcast on all major streaming platforms. Please help us spread the message by sharing this in your network. Let's get into the 24th episode of the Reframe podcast with Zeeshan Parwez. All right, Zeeshan, great to have you on the episode. Welcome, guys. We have a very special guest today, one of my favorite, very good friends, and an excellent musician, animation artist, videographer, DOP as well, right?
Sometimes, yeah. Whenever
Yeah.
जब काम करना होता है, तो definitely.
Yeah. So, Zeeshan, great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me over. Thank you.
And Rahi, I want to start there. Most recent.
Yeah.
Love it. Loved.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
I would say every single frame of it.
Really?
So, I mean, looking at it with keen eyes in terms of, I also have a sort of hobby of, a little bit photography, videography. So looking at from that perspective, amazingly well done. And I can only imagine how difficult and how detail oriented you must be in terms of planning that. Can you just tell us about that a little?
Sure. So, I mean, I can go on and talk about a lot of things in terms of production, but what happens is Rahi was not as planned as people might think, because I myself was new to those roads, to those parts of the country that we were going to. It was my first time in interior Punjab, first time in interior Sindh, in different places, really, to be honest. And jahan jahan bhi hum ja rahe. And I think we went, and as we went, when we explored, and we went with a different mindset, and we diverted to another directive completely when we were sort of going and exploring as well. So uske saath saath, there was great learning for us as well, for me as a person, for me as a professional, as a creative. How can we showcase those places, but keeping the personal side of the artist who is exploring that, like Omer is exploring that. How can we retain that? So a lot of things were sort of coming to us right there on the road. So we were brainstorming as we were on for weeks and weeks when we were outside on the roads and traveling. So I think that was pretty much it. We had definitely planned कि यार हम थोड़ा बहुत ये चीजें वगैरह करेंगे, but our imagination sort of opened up when we were on the road. So there's a lot of great deal of things that you feel, and when you're on the road. So that was, I guess, in our case as well.
Right. So मजे की बात ये होती है, whenever you're doing something like that, sometimes you get so overwhelmed with the kind of canvas that you have in front of you that it's difficult to pick and choose कि किस चीज को shoot करें, क्या angles लें and all of that. So and especially if you don't have that planned, if you don't have that short list, so isn't that a challenge?
It definitely is a challenge. That's why we took a lot of time in production for this as well, especially with post. You see, that was the thing. I didn't want to confine it to a narrative that was preconceived or written beforehand before we left. I thought it would be, even Omer thought as well. In fact, he was also the one who was saying that, let us just feed whatever we can find on the road and just talk about that as well. So, uske saath saath, and also I have to commend my team, amazing people to work with as well. I'll definitely name them as well. Great cam ops with me, Abu Bakr Saeed, Danish Ansari, who were with me, the production manager, Haris Khan. They did a wonderful job on sound. It was Mohammed Hassan. Yeah. So everyone did their part. Small crew, but they were just there. And just, the thanks to their aesthetics as well, we could actually get all the visuals that we could get as well. So I guess I would also say partly because of an awesome team, backing you, I think, I mean, we could pull off what we could in a limited amount of time with limited resources.
Anything interesting that happened? Completely unexpected?
Surprisingly, no. I mean, unexpectedly इस तरह चीजें हो जाती थी कि Umair गिर जाता था as well, which you'll see on the series as well, at some points as well. And you see, one of the things was कि unexpected, thank God, कोई चीज हुई नहीं, because here's the thing. You're on the road, you're with a person who actually is biking for approximately 16 hours a day, and in intense heat or kabhi thand mein, so a lot of things can go on as well. And दूसरी बात ये है, when we were going into new territories, so shukr alhamdulillah, we didn't come across hurdles as such. But I can tell you that unexpected cheeses jo thi is to just learn about places which we haven't gone in, and just feel what we hadn't felt before. Actually, those were, I think, the unexpected things as well. And the idea was, like, I'll give you an example. The Aliya episode. Did you see the Aliya episode?
Yeah,
which is episode 3. So we were with Aliya. We were just chilling literally, and this was in production. And uske saath saath jo hai, he actually told us about his bhediya story. And I thought it was like, okay, this is fascinating. Like, we should be doing something at this as well. So I took it upon myself, okay, you know what? Let's just animate that thing. And I told everyone, and I have to give a lot of credit to Easy Pesa. Their team is just super open to new ideas, etc. I said, I just want to actually have a canvas of scribbly animations of Alias, but actually just, face off ho rahi hai bhediyon ke saath. So that was the thing which we said, you know what, we need to have that sort of thing. I could have left it there and then, but we decided to have that. So, I mean, that was an unexpected thing that actually just happened, and we just sort of enforced that idea into the episode. And to this day, like, whatever messages aate hain, wo bhediya ki story,
and that added so much character.
People are receptive toward that. Although it's a small, ek wo hai yaar ke bas bhediya aa gaye, tikke le gaye, chale gaye, and everything. And
no, but the way you... इसमें I think I want to segue into वो जो गल्ला की वीडियो थी अली अजमत की.
Yep.
So उसके अंदर जो जिस तरह से impact था, and then looking at this bhediya story, it added so much meat to that story, figuratively speaking. But जो meat लेके गए उसमें इतना meat add हो गया from the way that you did it.
Thank you. Thanks. I just it's so fun. It's so fun to actually work with Ali Azmat, because, like Umair says, he's one of the most animated personalities that you'll see, right? So that's why I also always said, if we have a video like Gala, he was open for it. Yeah, let's have fun. That's the main thing. And he's open for that. That's the best thing about Ali. That's why he's a legend, really, to be honest, and next level energy to work with him.
Seriously. और प्लांट्स की प्राइसेस देख के तो मैं हैरान हो गया था.
That actually is true. मैं भी हैरान हो गया था. मैं भी कह रहा था कि यार कि people invest that much amount of money on plants. मैंने कहा, oh my god.
And you could never think Ali Azmat being so serious about plants.
And see, that's one of the just to answer your question again, unexpected things. We thought कि हम ride करेंगे. We thought कि we'll go and just एक ride एक मारेंगे full fledged. But the ride turned out to be, he said, I need to get some plants. I was like, okay, why not turn this into a ride? People would unexpectedly, they would not expect this. यार कसूर जा रहे हैं ठीक ठाक, 2 boys ride कर रहे हैं and everything, पर आखिर में plants के लिए. So that's why I have a Kenny G music at that point, and जरा बहुत जरूरी था उस तरह की चीज.
अच्छा, we'll come to this music part because it's such a critical part of anything video. We'll come back to it. I want to backtrack, and I want to go back to the initial first time when Zeeshan Parwez and Sajid and Zeeshan came into being, and we saw Zeeshan Parwez managing, and pura music producer nikla usme se ek, and then onward onto Coke Studio. I want to go through that journey as well.
Okay. A lot of things happened throughout those years, but this is 2004. I would actually go back to 2004, 2003, 2004, when myself and Sajid got together. And Sajid's younger brother, Sarmad, was always a very good friend of mine. But through him, I got to meet Sajid as well, and we instantly had a wonderful connection. We decided, okay, let's just make some music around and stuff. So in 2004, we made a couple of tracks, out of which King of Self was the most easiest one to write for Sajid, and also compose as well. So we sort of did that. Within minutes, we had 45 minutes. We had King of Self ready, and this is in, I guess, September 2004 that we released. And I think that was one of the first projects that I ever did that I sort of came out from Peshawar. Followed by another video that I did for an artist called Jahangir Aziz. It was called Never Change. And these were two videos that came in side by side from Peshawar for Indus music from Peshawar. It had completely been unheard of at that time because Pushto music kabhi kabhi jata tha in Indus music, but that was it. So that actually got the attention of radio stations like CDFM 89 and FM 91, etc., the music channel, and sare is tarah ki cheezein. And from there onwards, it opened doors for us, really, to be honest, in forms of concerts, in form of me as a director, a video director as well. So I actually had a Indus music show for myself as well, which I did with my cousin Fasi Zaka, which is called On the Fringe. So that was for 2 years. We sort of went in and sort of did our thing, and it was like our stupid ideas compiled. We sort of just had fun, really, to be honest.
वो भी एक next level चीज थी वैसे.
Thank you. So I mean, we had wonderful time making it, and the idea of what that was, we tried our level best to showcase artists from Islamabad and Peshawar and also Lahore at some times as well, because ye jagah pe itni zyada representation, not Lahore but Islamabad or Peshawar mein itni zyada representation hoti nahi thi. So we actually had a soft corner for independent musicians, indie artists, and that was what the show was all about. But then it branched out to us covering people like Nadeem Farooq Paracha, a lot of journalists jinki video presence thi nahi us mein, RJs, VJs, music journalists, so a lot of things. So everyone associated in that industry, we actually always look forward to hearing from that. From that point onwards, as a director, I started making music videos for Mikal Hassan Band, for Ali Azmat, for other various artists as well. And then that transitioned to me being the video producer for Coke Studio. So is tarah ki cheez hai, it's sort of like
step by step.
Step by step, yeah.
But if you were to place yourself, would you place yourself as a musician first or as a producer first?
Yeah, if you had asked me this a couple of years back, I would have said musician first. But I find myself just doing video projects left and right more than music, and it's sort of sad at times as well, because music has just been a very, very personal, very, very it's a close thing to my heart, really, and I don't get that as often. I mean, thank God I have Sajid and Zeeshan's stuff that we are releasing nowadays, but I feel I should be making more music as opposed to video as well. But video is something which just I also feel very, very good in sort of making as well, whether it's video, whether it's animations, etc. I just love the process of collaborating with other people as well in creating something as well. Rahi is just one of those examples.
Yeah. And you pursued your education also in video production?
I did. This was even after Coke Studio, after a lot of things. I got a scholarship for the Vancouver Film School in 2014. So I was there for a year. And I graduated majoring in film production.
Film production, right? So now that has sort of become your major, so to speak, your major career.
And the other thing is that while I was there, I hung out a lot with a lot of animators, because I was fascinated with that world since before as well. And I was doing animation left and right as well through Aliya's Masteri Parchaiyan and Mikal Hassan's Varis Shah. But that was in the form of rotoscoping, etc. So my fascination with 2D animation just came from there, but just sort of analyzing what animators were doing there in Vancouver. And I sort of took my time in sort of learning the basics of storytelling with animation as well. And I try to incorporate that through various PSAs that I've just launched through my production company called Studio Rokan. So the ones that you've seen actually are 2-3 of them are Corona based, and the other one is sort of like talking about
I want to come to that Corona campaign jo thi. That was, I think, very well put together and the most balanced one that I've seen all around, not just from Pakistan, but outside as well. And
Thank you.
a little bit of perspective just to give to you. So living here in UAE, the things are a lot different. Here, you get a notification from the government and people follow it to the T, because
Okay.
frankly speaking, you don't have any other choice. There are heavy fines
Sure.
imposed. You're supposed to follow the SOPs. During the time that we were in lockdown, there were specific timings of curfew. You could not go beyond that. There was no way. If you need to go to work, you need to have a permission not only from your HR but also from the government. So आपको grocery के लिए भी, you had to get permission to go out, and you had to specify your time slots when you're going out. And they were
Okay.
very, very diligently making sure that there are never enough people out on the road. So, you'd ask for permission that I want to go for a grocery or emergency, whatever. And then they would reply you back with a time slot in which you can be out on the road. So they were practically
Incredible. Incredible.
scheduling the entire country, I would say. But in places like Pakistan, it's very difficult. We are lucky that herd immunity has worked wonders for us. But other than that, uh, the message, the way that you put it out, it was very well balanced. It gave out the right message in the right way, uh, without associating with anything, whether it is political or even for that matter, कोई doctor वाली बात भी आके के ऐसे करें और वैसे करें, just the right kind of message. So,
Thank you.
was that just a flip of a switch के एक idea आ गया दिमाग में? How did that happen?
No. So what happened was, like I said, like I love collaborating with other people. So in this case, I had to collaborate with my cousin Fasi Zaka, who is excellent in drafting
Oh yes.
communication strategies and concepts, etc. I The reason for me to do this primarily was because this happened a little bit before lockdown. I knew that this was upon meeting, like, having a casual meeting with, say, the health minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa back then, and just sort of, I just got get the gist of exactly how big this is. Because उन दिनों में जो है ना, मैं राही से shooting से हम sort of एक किस्म आ भी गए थे and stuff, right? So the thing was कि राही की shoots भी थोड़ी बहुत रहती थी, so it was a very confusing point at that time. So I had asked the minister as well exactly, okay, how big is this? And they were saying, like, this is really going to hit Pakistan quite hard, right? So okay, I said, and then I looked at the whole thing as well. I said, okay, you know what? Then it's good thing for all of us to sort of help out in comms as much as possible, and this would be something from my side, really, to be honest. So I told Fasi as well, okay, if we can actually do something, that'll be great. Like, just make an in-house messaging of some sort. So he came up with the concept of, a guy called Pablo Badmash, who basically sort of, educates people as well in this way. So I sort of refined it this way, this would be better actually, okay, how about if we actually make the audience wait for 20 seconds till he just, washes his hand. That's the thing. You are forced to watch him just wash his hands, right? So, but that's the thing. The idea was generally, to answer your question, the messaging, which was very important, is that just उन दिनों में काफी वीडियोस थे जिसमें बहुत ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन होती थी कि यार कि प्रिवेंशन मेथड्स तो काफी ज्यादा हैं, obviously, right? We just focused on one prevention method per video, and that was it. और हम नहीं करते थे, that's it. One was washing hands,
and I think that's why
social
it was most
distancing.
effective.
Probably,
एक तो
yeah.
obviously the
can't,
style of execution, and then the fact that there was no information overload. It was,
I can't really say exactly. I mean, एक ये भी हो सकता है. एक दूसरी बात ये है कि at times I sort of feel as well कि just maybe कि it should have been less comical as well. Sometimes मुझे थोड़ी बहुत वो भी होती है कि यार कि whether that should have been the way I know as well. But people say the reason why they responded to it is, first of all, it was pushed to animation. It hadn't been done before. They could relate to the characters, which is a good thing, because उसमें एक बंदा जो है rocket launcher वो है बेच रहा है, ठीक है, और एक जो है कि उसके पास जापानी sword होती है and stuff. They could relate to the characters. So that was, I guess, the thing which sort of worked in our favor as well. And but वही बात है कि, but one of the cool things that we got is we got a lot of videos from people imitating the character, which was great, which was awesome, which I said, okay, यार मैंने काम कर लिया अपना, this is great. Kids actually imitating Pabbo Badmash and stuff as well.
No, that was great.
Thank
Acha,
you.
let's move towards Coke Studio.
Yep.
I think it was a pretty big enough journey in your entire career. Uh,
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
lucky enough. I remember the first episode of Coke Studio with Ali Zafar. That was shot on in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to be there through a good friend, Madhya Sayyed.
Really?
I'm sure you know her.
Acha, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely.
uh,
Acha,
so
you were
so
there. You were present at that time.
yes. So I was there.
बहुत अला.
In fact, my whole band was there.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, Madhya was good enough to give us passes. तो वो एक अलग एक्सपीरियंस देखा था फर्स्ट टाइम एंड द फैक्ट कि लास्ट लाइन के ऊपर कोई गलती हो गई एंड देन यू हैव टू practically start from the top, single
Yeah,
take recording.
yeah,
And it was so different because we had all heard about ke bade bands ne Beatles ne इन्होंने they've done live recordings, Abbey studio mein recordings ho rahi and all of that, and then you look at that right in Pakistan have or studio mein I had already spent some time in studios, and I know कि भाई कहीं पे अगर गलत हो गया you make a mistake, you cut over there and then you overlap, you play
yeah,
from then onwards, and this was like you've done every single note perfectly, and then the last note or the last line you mess up, and then you have to start from the top. But then
yep.
it grew into a phenomena, really. Coke Studio across the world, jitni countries ke jitne aur variants hai, I think Pakistan tops hands down across all, and everybody who has watched Coke Studio would agree to that. And then we saw the evolution and the quality of the videography and the shots and the way it was all lined up, the set design and everything. So I'm sure, I mean, what fascinates me, and this is my personal question, as somebody having an interest not just in music but also in videography, the amount of logistics involved in getting those number of people there, the amount of audio gear required, you know must be phenomenal. उसमें आप लोगों ने क्या किया? Because you have the drummer sitting just behind a plexiglass or a glass wall, and उसके साथ ही then you have the people playing dole, and then you have people playing acoustic guitar and violins and all stuff. How do you manage the audio?
It's it's just simple. We have a wonderful audio team, really, to be honest, who are just absolutely mind-blowingly awesome. Small team, but they just know each and everything how it's supposed to be. You have to realize this has been going on for quite a lot of years now. So
Yeah.
people know the ins and outs like anything. It's sort of like when you do something, right? Like let's suppose if I edit, right? So I actually know what exactly the way how to set up an assembly of the whole thing for a music video, whatever, how I need to cut. That's exactly how all the technicians and audio engineers on board, they know exactly where the ins and outs are going to be, where, what exactly are the places where there's, I mean, say considering कि drum है, उसे इस जगह पे बिठाओ कि जहाँ पे noise bleed उसकी ना आ सके, microphone bleed ना आ सके into other microphones. So that sort of a thing they actually have to come in as well. I think one of the most things that's very hard to tackle is the concept of soundproofing in an environment that doesn't allow soundproofing. Everything is soundproofed from scratch in a lot of
Right.
places where there isn't any soundproofing. That's one of the most
And you guys were shooting in a warehouse.
hardest things. I mean, होते हैं studios होते हैं different locations and stuff as well. So yeah. So but that's the thing. I mean, everything is treated so for us to actually have wonderful. I can't speak on the behalf of the audio department, but everything actually is done so to get the best, and they always do it, man. They always do a wonderful job.
And from the videography perspective, how did
So
you
the
manage that?
videography perspective has really evolved over the years. I remember when I stepped in as the video producer for season 2, वो अपना पूछे यार, वो मैं पागल हो गया था literally, because हमारे जो कराची में जो resources थे, if I tell you कि हमने किस तरह वो recording की थी ना, it still gives me nightmares to this day, really, to be honest. But in 2000, sorry, this was 2008, 2009. With season 2 से, फिर उसके बाद से जो season 4 से, everything became HD. HD was just a blessing, because imagine a wall full of video equipment was not needed anymore because of HD. Back in the day, we were looking at technology which was just present in the country, which was just so hard to work with. And but the reason why we did that, we put it amongst ourselves, is because we took the pain of just recording each and every camera source, which was in many productions unheard of in Pakistan. Many people didn't do that back in the day. But we wanted to have each and every source, so we could actually have all edit and color grading power in our fingertips at that time. So then uske baad jo hai, then in HD, everything was just simplified. So season 4 onwards, jo hai, things were simpler. So it's those first 2 seasons jo hai, which laid the foundations. I can't say for season 1 because I wasn't in season 1 as a video. I was the house band member.
Yeah.
But season 2 and 3 was the one where we literally put in the foundation for a workflow. Just he was invested in as well, which sort of moved for years to come as well. And I think it still works to this day.
So that's what you're following now also?
Pretty much, yes.
Right. Zeeshan, can we go a little bit towards some of the lessons that you would have learned throughout your journey? Failures. I respect failures a lot. Let me put that out, because failures are what ground you. Failures are what actually launch you. So, I think people should be proud of their failures. And kabhi kabhi, balki I think mostly they're very funny later on. At that time, so they're miserable, but then later on, a lot of failures are very funny. So anything that you want to share, because the idea is we want younger generation and the people coming into practical life to learn from them. They obviously adore you, they admire you. We've looked at the work, the amazing work that you're still doing, but it doesn't come easy. It looks easy, but it's not like that. And I think the only way to learn and actually move forward practically is to learn from people who have gone through those failures, right? So I always make it a point that my guests share their failures and the learnings, so that has to be the takeaway.
Sure. As much as I can give something to share that, and I hope it's worthwhile for something. There's this, when I went to Canada, I actually learned one thing about myself, and which I wish I knew back then starting out, which was the importance of time management. I think that was such an important takeaway when I was living in Canada, because I started logging my hours per day. Where am I investing my hours into what exactly? It could be anything. It could be, say, reading. It could be investing it in learning a particular software. It could be investing it towards making something. So that was the thing that made me super focused on exactly what I need to achieve by the end of the month or by the end of the year, etc. Before that, I was just all over the place. That was not a good way to work and discipline myself. I had to really discipline myself to sort of look at things and sort of see things. And the reason why I can actually, I'm not saying that I do a lot now or anything like that, but the reason why I can actually just focus on multiple different things is that I assign times, specific times. And the other thing would be time and workflow. The workflow is super, super, super important. I think that's one thing that people need to work smarter, which I never did, really, to be honest. And I've started putting that into practice in some ways. Whatever I'm doing, I should actually have a certain steps covered to sort of simplify my process, whether it be animation, whether it be editing, etc., whether it be simple thing like rendering out a project for a client to see. तो उस तरह की चीजें जो है ना, तो it's very, very important technically. The third thing is technical knowledge. There's the reason why actually at least for me, I always go for learning technical stuff as well in my capacity, so I can enhance my skill set in any way possible. So I sort of give myself time to learning different things via tutorials, via other people, etc., etc., etc. I was in a shoot recently, and my DOP just told me a very quick jogad of sort of converting 4K footage into 4K footage, which is compressed, but at the same time, it's compressed in such a way that you won't be able to tell a difference, which will be ready for YouTube, etc., etc. So there's a lot of things hacks, so इस तरह की चीजें कर सकते हैं आप. So, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, and इस तरह compress करने के so that you can share it with the client, etc. as well. So I was like, okay, wow, this is great. They can save me bundles of time. So just you'd be fascinated that how much you can learn by just hanging out with the people from your own industry. I think that's very, very important. And that was one thing as well, being in Peshawar, that was also a big hindrance as well, because I did not meet a lot of people who were practicing in the industry as well over here. So I was pretty much isolated quite a bit as well. मैं कराची जाता था whenever काम होता था or something, whatever and stuff. And Karachi ke log are just absolutely amazing. I've learned so much from them. Every time I go, it just blows my mind. So I think it's always really cool for me to sort of go there and as well and be in touch with industry people via networking, etc., etc. So I think these are a couple of things. One is time management. One is simplifying your workflow. The other one is just networking and also being in touch with people who are just doing creative stuff as well, so they can learn from them.
And so you were talking about workflow and everything. वो सब एक जगह अपने perspective में तो बहुत important चीजें हैं, but the fact that you learn these things out of experience, no matter how much, आपको अगर आज कोई ये कहेगा कि here's Zeeshan's advice, people will not follow or believe it. I face this particularly. We're talking about time management, and that's something I'm really, really obsessed with. And jitna bhi samjhao, people don't understand. And another thing is you can't work and be productive or functional in a silo. So if you are trying to be efficient and you are optimizing your workflow, but you're dependent on other people for any project, for any delivery, छोटी सी चीज कर लेते हैं कि let's suppose if you have a shoot planned and people don't turn up on time, so your whole schedule goes for a toss.
For sure, definitely.
Right. So yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, so uske liye, the other thing would be, and I also sort of sometimes when I give talks as well, is just to actually have a team members who can just back you up. I think that's the most important thing as well. And I should have mentioned that as well before as well. What we could do in Rahi on a limited time slot was because of just a couple of guys, but they knew their stuff. We had designated ki ye karna hai. And at times, it was such an amazing feeling because myself, I do cam opping, I do other stuff as well while doing other things as well. And that was the most important thing as well. Everyone nowadays in filmmaking, what at least I expect them to do is just know everything that is associated with filmmaking. Like everyone from my team was a person, even though they were cam ops, they were editors, they were drone operators, they understood light, they understood everything around the camera, and they even understood audio production as well. So I knew they're not going to mess up on things. Right. So it's very, very important that whoever you get, exactly. So whoever you have, they know if there is a problem arising, they can just troubleshoot it there and then and just rectify it or even identify it before it happens. I think that's very, very important. Rahi mein a lot of places jo hai, wahan pe we were having like small things like audio problems. The audio guy jo tha, video guy could actually identify, the audio wala person could identify the video wale problems actually, although that was not his domain. He was saying yaar ki ye cheez jo hai yahan pe masla karega and stuff, and I was like amazed. I was like, this is it, this is amazing. So if you have an audio guy talking about video as well, So, that's just wonderful feeling that everyone is contributing and actually they knows their stuff. So yeah.
And I think that says a lot about multiple skills as well. People
Ji,
enhancing their skills, learning,
ji.
continuously
And
learning.
one more thing, I've actually and I encourage everyone to just hang out with people who have a wonderful attitude towards work.
Oh,
Really, to
yes.
be honest, who just find the passion of just creating things. If you are associating yourself with people who just create, they should just be there for just the fact that they are able to create, they are able to dream, they are able to contribute in some ways. Unki attitude just says a lot. If they're in
Yeah.
for the money and stuff as well, it's just going to phase out.
Hmm.
I'm not saying money is a good important driver factor and stuff as well, but uske saath saath ye hai कि you are creating something for a reason. So, and whatever it is, it should just stick for a long time. So I think that everyone just come in as well should put their heart and soul 200% in it, and also just create with the fact that whatever they're doing is going to be long term.
So what's next? What surprises are you bringing us now?
I have absolutely no.
I'm eagerly waiting for Sajid and Zishan.
Great, thank you. I hope you like the latest track. So
Yeah.
so I
So
mean,
when is the album coming? Sorry, my question was, when is the album coming?
So no, we're going to be releasing an album shortly, one track at a time. So the next track is going to be coming in approximately a week or two from now.
Oh, great.
Depending on when this podcast comes in, I think a week or two from now, I guess. So that's the second track, and uske baad the third, fourth, fifth, in the form of an album, which would be approximately 9 to 10 songs.
Videos ban rahi hai?
Videos is a funny bunny because focusing more on songs, music production this time. So lyrics videos actually, uski videos as such nahi hai, but just simple lyric videos.
Chale, but looking forward to it, and I'm sure everybody's going to love it. So, but I had a great conversation, Zishan. Thanks a lot for your time. I know it's pretty late in
Thank you.
Pakistan.
No, it's all good. I'm actually right now as we speak. I was just going to start off my editing session right now, which will be I have to actually just cut something. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, man, awesome. That's awesome. Wonderful talking to you.
So, but बहुत मजा आया. And we've been talking for quite some time, Twitter pay and social media pay and all. Finally, we get to catch up. I remember that beautiful jugaad tip that you had given me for the 4K proxies on Premiere Pro.
Did it work for you? Did it work
Oh
for you?
man, it worked wonders. I mean, that was at a time when I was struggling with my laptop because it had aged, and and there was no way I could manage it. It would take hours and hours for small pieces of content, and I was so frustrated.
Here's something I learned recently, and it's actually saved my life. So you cut on Premiere as well, is that correct?
Yeah.
So so here's the thing, and Premiere uses something called Smart Render. So do you know what it is?
No, haven't explored it. Yeah.
So smart rendering is something which has actually saved my life on some occasions recently, which I discovered. Is basically when you have a timeline, ठीक है, आपने cut कर दिए सब चीजें, proxies, ठीक है, you disable proxies, you pre-render it, ठीक है. I mean, because obviously you're working on it and stuff as well. You pre-render it. It'll take its due time, but you go to the settings of the composition, whatever sequence, and you choose a ProRes 422 whatever, ठीक है, मगर then उसके बाद जो है once you've pre-rendered it, वो आपकी timeline पूरी green हो जाती है.
Right.
So then what you do is you go to export and choose the same format that you had chosen in previews, and नीचे एक button होगा कि use previews for render. So once you click that, right, so what's this going to do is basically bypass all that time that you've actually sent. So basically, essentially, जो घंटे लगते हैं, would actually just go on like quite days. So that's actually time management wise. So if you're dealing with 4K footage for like 20-30 minutes of content, that just reduces the time dramatically with everything in it.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna try this because time काफी लग जाता है. And then you throw it off to media encoder and you can continue working on your other project.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, but then those proxy things also helped a lot This was before I upgraded my setup. And uski bhi badi funny story thi. You know, I don't want to bore my listeners with it. I've gone through it a lot of
No, no,
times.
no, no.
We missed out.
No, no, and we were doing Rahi proxies as well. So yeah, that's the way to go. So
That's the way to
on
go.
on the road proxies se kaam karte hain. But please, sorry, I jumped in the middle of your story.
No, nothing. I mean, what happened was I lost around 6 episode of the podcast. I had shot
Ooh,
them. I was in the middle of editing them, and these were all in-person podcasts. So उसमें बहुत सारे कुछ ऐसे दोस्त थे, कुछ ऐसे लोग थे who were transiting from Dubai. So they would stop over.
acha.
They would have a couple of hours, and then I would say, "Okay, yaar, you know, we want to do a podcast." They would come out of the airport. We'll do a podcast. They go back in.
Oh,
So there was no way to catch them up again. So वो हुआ, and I got a ransomware attack. So couldn't really do anything. जो backups थे वो पूरे नहीं थे. Unfortunately, I'm very lazy by the way in backups. तो वो उसके बाद फिर अकल आई है कि हर स्टेज पे जो है बैकअप लेते रहो. But at that time I was like, हाँ ठीक है, हो जाएगा, कभी ले लेंगे, you know, sometime. So I lost around 6 episodes, all short and scheduled, but I mean they were in
no.
final various stages of editing. तो वो किया. उसके बाद जब then I eventually had to upgrade my setup because that laptop was practically dead. वो हार्ड डिस्क वगैरह तो बेकार हो गई थी, and then as it is
Yeah.
the laptop had aged poorly. वो I had to upgrade. But जिस वक्त when the time when you had given me that solution, उस वक्त तो I was struggling like crazy क्योंकि बेचारा मेरा लैपटॉप जो है वो गालियां देता था मुझे. और मैं पूरी रात उससे रेंडरिंग कराता था.
Oh man.
So, but yeah, these things happen. I mean, I till date, I wish I can get some of those guests back. Most of those were kind enough to shoot episodes again later. But जो नहीं है, दुबई में नहीं है, उनके लिए अब you know, I'm planning now because of this is something, a great lesson that this whole lockdown scenario and COVID has taught us, that things can happen. If you want them to
Yeah.
happen, they can happen anyway.
Yeah.
So this is also a great
Yeah.
takeaway
Yeah.
in these times, unfortunately
Absolutely.
or fortunately. You know, पहले कोई
Absolutely.
especially in corporate world, we would never really believe that it can be a productive day on video calls and Microsoft Teams meeting or Zoom meeting and things like that. But today, that's how we are operating. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think a couple of weeks back, I was having this conversation with Momo as well about remote collaboration for musicians. You know, latency ki wajah se this is a problem, but you know there should be a solution. Okay, live jams ho sake and all of that. Maybe someday. So, but otherwise,
Absolutely. नहीं
thanks.
होगा इंशाल्लाह.
हाँ होगा inshallah, and then that will change the whole game. You know, live
Yeah.
remote playing and live jams and gigs.
Yeah.
So, but thank you so much, Zeeshan, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me over, man. Thank you very much. It was awesome talking to you.
Yeah, we'll catch up again soon, inshallah.
Awesome. Perfect.
All right.
Thank
Take care,
you.
man. See you around.
Take
Sure.
care.
Okay, bye-bye.